All right, guys. Neil Westfall. I'm with Autohaus BMW in Minneapolis, St. Louis. I'm a longtime BMW guy. I met ML at my previous locale where he was a customer of mine and became a friend. I've drank way too much of the BMW Kool-Aid. I can't get out of it. I can't get away from it even when I've tried to. I've noticed some shifts in things with BMW, obviously from your perspective as consumers and essentially lovers of the brand. There have been some things that have maybe been questionable, maybe you've questioned the brand about. Well, I'm on the inside. I'm seeing some of the things, and I'm telling you, they're not leaving you behind. They just have to evolve. They're a small company in a really big world of competition. Our two main competitors, our Audi guys and our Mercedes guys, are substantially larger companies. So we have to move a little differently and maybe sometimes get ahead of where other people are to stay in front. So just know that that's good. But there is good news on the horizon. Yesterday, 2 Series production started, which is the 1 Series Coupe.
Here.
That car started production yesterday. The M235 and 228 did start production. Huge for us because it's going to bring us back around, kind of. Everybody said it about the current 1 Series. Really not true. This is the car that's coming back to that E36 car. Smaller, lighter, 3,200 pounds, 320 horsepower. Rear-wheel drive with a mechanical limited slip available from the factory. It's kind of what everybody wants, right? I'm going to share a couple things here. This is a production schedule for the upcoming year. You can't keep this. You can't give it out. This is inside info. This is a production schedule for the cars. And then on this third page, you're going to see something interesting in there too. You're going to see the order bank for the upcoming M3, M4, 4 Series Grand Coupe, and things of that nature. Do you guys have any questions? This was going to be loose because there's only so much information I can give you without getting in big trouble. But do know that a lot of that stuff is really, really close. The M3, M4 start production in March with the 6 Turbo. Back to the roots of the 6 Turbo. If any indications are right with the M235 losing a couple hundred pounds over where the car is currently, you're going to see the same thing in the M3, M4.
Will all those be available with a manual?
Yes, they are. Even though it's not economically viable. We're one of the only countries that will get that. They lose money on every single one that they send over here. So the key is you got to buy them. You can ask for them all you want, but if nobody buys them, it presents certain challenges down the road too because they aren't as efficient. And sorry, they don't pull the numbers like they used to, but they are more fun. We all know that. But you got to buy them. But that will be available with that. Every generation they say it's not going to become available. Every generation they give it to us. Just keep buying them. You know, quite frankly, just keep buying them. Did you guys have any questions about cars that are coming, production? Even questions about the new i3, i8, i5 down the road?
I was going to ask about the i3.
Yep.
When is that due?
We will see them in spring, it looks like. They are already sold out pretty much across the country, across the world, as are the i8s. The i8 is going to be, a $100,000 plus car. It's really where that car is going. It's going to be a design study for what all of us are really going to buy. The i3 is going to be the first mass-produced carbon fiber shell interior construction car in the marketplace. This is going to change the game for everything. That car only weighs about 2,800 pounds. Most of the electric cars, even things like the Leaf, weigh 3,600, 3,800, 4,000 pounds. This car is going to change a lot of things. Now, it's not the traditional BMW in the sense of you're going to put this thing sideways. It's got little 175, 195 series tires on it. It's meant for efficiency. It's meant for the city dwellers who, frankly, don't care about the same things that all of us care about. But guess what? You sell those cars to those people, it blossoms into them maybe taking the brand to the next level. It is electric with an available range-extending motor. The range-extending motor actually comes out of the BMW motorcycles. So it takes the range anxiety out of play potentially. So it's not a true hybrid because that gasoline motor is just to regenerate the battery. It's the construction that's the key. That car you're going to see in the next 7 Series. It's going to be the first car to get the carbon fiber construction in big amounts. You may see the 7 Series lose between 400 and 600 pounds in weight. Translate that down to a 5 Series, to a 3 Series, on down. That's what you're looking at.
So what has enabled mass production of carbon fiber?
They bought the plant. They literally bought the production facilities for it. There's 2 of them. There's one in Europe, there's one in Canada. They bought the facility because they knew that's the way it's going to go. So they spent hundreds of millions of dollars in developing this. Toyota's got their own facility that they're working on. There's a little joint production going on there, which we've talked about for years and years with Toyota and BMW. That's not in the construction phase of it. This carbon reinforced plastic is going to change a lot of things for us. The insurance industry may not like it because, well, carbon fiber, when you shred carbon fiber, it's done. But we're talking about performance, economy, safety, everything tangible that you can put a number on. It's better with this stuff. That's what you're going to see. It's going to be a little while because you can't just turn that over that quickly. But the i3 and i8 are where the construction of the car is going to go. And if you're going to see these massive weight savings, they just handle better, they turn better, they accelerate better, they get more efficient. It's a no-lose proposition for us. We just got to get there. So you're going to see a lot of that stuff coming.
So what's the price point of this i3?
The i3 is around $43,000, which when you compare it to things like the Leaf and the Volt is right in striking distance. Now, it's a little controversial in how it looks, but it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be funky because the people who really are buying that car are looking for that kind of difference. When you go inside this car, it's got like birch wood in it. Everything inside the car is recycled and sustainable. This is an extremely green car. And then depending on what tax credits we get, you're going to see that price come down on that too. So it's not cheap, but when you look at what it's competing with, it's pretty cheap. The i8 is going to be something very different though. That is meant to be a very niche car. Our market, the 4 stores that are here, may see 4 or 5 of them in the first year. That's how rare you're talking about that car will be initially. But you're talking $130,000 car, 4.5 seconds 0 to 60 times. It's going to be a fast little thing that happens to be electric primarily with the hybrid. It's going to be a hybrid, but it's going to be fast but extremely unique. The way this car is constructed, a lot of in the glass display. It's pretty cool stuff. It's like you're in a fighter jet. So.
Does Mini have any electric cars coming up?
There may be. It's packaging with Mini. The biggest part is with Mini, where do you put it? Do you want a trunk or a rear seat?
Or batteries?
Or batteries, yeah. That's pretty much it. Sir?
I was reading something today on the internet about the 9 series.
Yep.
Are you familiar with that?
That's one of those way out there dreams. It would be something way above and beyond even what a 7 or an 8 series is. The next thing we would see if we saw it would probably be something derived from an 8 series to a supercar. But we need to do some other things first. We got to take care of the bread and butter. The i3 launch, the M series cars, the M3, M4 are huge pieces, halo cars for us. Those got to go well, and these other pieces have to go in play. But ideally, I would like to see BMW get back into something where they have that one car over the top, over everything, like they had the Z8 so many years ago now, which people still pay way too much money for. So, yeah. See anything interesting on there, Chad?
You were talking about the manuals in the
Yep.
in the M3s and M4s.
Yep.
What automatics are they using? Are they using a standard slushbox type automatics?
So in most of the cars now, you're going to see the 8-speed ZF transmission, which has been tuned. If anybody's driven it, even though it's not my favorite thing to drive, that transmission for an automatic, here's our caveat, for an automatic, is amazing. Throttle downshift matching, it blips the throttle when you're shifting up and down. It's got some amazing stuff, and it's really, really fast. An example would be the M135 in Europe uses that transmission, the car that ML's potentially buying here in the coupe form, uses that transmission, and it's widely praised for an automatic. I mean, it's lightning fast. You're seeing more and more of that because these transmissions, you're seeing a little bit in these ZF transmissions. You're seeing a little bit of almost a hybrid between the DCT and a true slush box. That's what you're seeing with these transmissions. They're kind of combining the pieces.
Explain the dual DCT.
The DCT, So the DCTs you're going to see in our M cars, which is effectively it's a manual transmission with computerized control of the clutch packets. There are 2 clutch packets, one for the odd gears and one for the even numbered gears. And so whenever you're in first gear, second gear is preloaded. That's why the shifting is so fast. You and I as humans can't shift that fast. It's waiting. When you're in third gear, first and, in your third, you're in second and fourth, they're primed waiting for you to upshift or downshift. That's why it's so fast. They're waiting for you all the time. That's why there's 2 clutch packets.
Can you stack downshifts?
You can't. You can't. You still have to go through it. Now, you can skip. I mean, you can hit 4 gears if you wanted to, but you can't preload it that way. The old transmissions, the old SMGs, which were in the first generation, I should say the second, third generation M3s we got here, one clutch packet, lurched. The only time that transmission was good was when you were 100% throttle. These new DCTs, I hate to say it, I like them better than the manuals now.
What are you doing with your left foot then?
Relaxing when I'm hitting that 0 to 60 and hitting that corner just a little bit better. It's really it's sad to say it, but when you hear that car downshift the way it does and you feel like you're Schumacher for a second there, it's pretty cool. And here I'm not good enough anymore to even say I'm close. So, yep.
Is that an authentic sound that you're hearing, or is that pipe tuned?
Depends on the car. So in the M3, M4 upcoming, as with the M5, M6, they have piped some of that sound in there. We all heard about that. It's really reflective of turbocharging. Turbocharging muffles a lot of that great sound that comes out of the car, good, bad, or indifferent. Here's the upside. You get more torque, more horsepower, and more economy. The downside is nothing sounds like that E92 M3 V8 when a turbo gets stuffed up in there and clogs it up.
So are there any naturally aspirated BMWs left?
Yes, you can still get a couple, but it's rare. It'll be done. You're done shortly. There are no more to be had, really. But so everything's going that route at this point. It's just reflective of, if you guys have seen it over the last about decade, it's related to regulations, CAFE regulations. Big trucks, full-size SUVs are outside of this. So the big manufacturers like GM, Ford, Chevy can get away from these industry regulations because you can have all these trucks that they sell that aren't part of it. And so if you sell 1 million cars, your regulations, they can soften the blow of these fuel economy things. So that's why you're seeing even Porsche bring hybrid technology into their cars, why Audi's bringing so many diesels to the line, is because these smaller manufacturers of niche cars will pay substantially larger penalties per car to get these standards up. You're talking 32 miles a gallon as your line just in a few years from now across the board on all your cars. How do you get a 5,000-pound car with 450 horsepower there?
Well, see, I would argue that you can have a smaller engine and less horsepower and have a hell of a time.
Right, and in the U.S., unfortunately, we've become accustomed to when a 3 Series didn't have a 6-cylinder, people said, well, we couldn't sell that 318i, and it failed miserably way back when. So we have to get that shift in people's mentality that, hey, a 4 can be good, and, well, some of these 4s are 300 horsepower now, so most people should be good with that. But it's a mentality in the consumer market that if it's not a 6 or an 8 or better, I'm not buying it.
So speaking of diesels, is BMW going to continue to expand their diesel range,
Yep.
or are they going?
Yep.
Yeah.
In that sheet there, you should see some of the diesel you'll see on that production schedule where the diesels are coming. That new 535 diesel is a monster. That's an amazing car. It's like 5.5 seconds 0 to 60 in a diesel with 32 miles a gallon and almost a 5,000-pound car. That's pretty strong. Yeah, it's coming. All that's coming. You're going to have 2-liter diesel. Hopefully the Mini gets the diesel too, which will be 60-plus miles a gallon. If they would bring it over, there's a 5 Series in Europe you can get with 50 miles a gallon in a 2-liter diesel. Just won't qualify for California emissions. California ruins it for everybody. So.
Since BMW and Toyota are interested in the carbon fiber, could you explain a little bit more about some of the inside, whatever, what you know or can say about the combination now of BMW and Toyota coming together?
Yep. There is the possibility that they may do a joint small sports car. Not so dissimilar from what Subaru and Toyota have done with the BRZ FRS model, which outside of it being 100 horsepower short of being fun, it's an amazing car to drive. There's a lot more of that going on than you think. There are Mercedes cars that have BMW technology in them that you don't know about, particularly the direct injection and the diesel power plants that we use. There's a lot of that going on behind the scenes that you don't know about. Toyota is just the next step in that, and it's going to be construction. So that LFA they built, that $500,000 V10 carbon fiber car they built for 1 year, that construction in that car is carbon fiber, not mass produced, but you're seeing that coming together with what we're doing, and you're going to see that kind of construction coming for our cars too. And that car was a pretty amazing piece for $500,000, but it was a pretty amazing piece. But that construction technology is going to trickle down to us where we can afford one in a $30,000 or $40,000 or $50,000 car, and that's what we want: lighter, faster, better, safer. So.
How's your body shop preparing for the advent of carbon fiber?
That carbon fiber thing is a whole nother issue. Now, it's still down the road for us, but yeah, there's a huge investment that's going to go into it because we're talking about the epoxies, and because it's carbon reinforced plastic, there is a lot of ways that you have to fix it that nobody's ever done.
It's quite an art, and
it is.
I deal with it.
Yep, it is. It's absolutely an art, and there's going to be people going to school for months on end to even just get semi-certified to start the process. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a huge investment, and it is actually optional for the BMW centers. Not all of them are going to carry I models and be certified to repair these carbon fiber and thermoplastic cars. So
I think it'll be basically modular, like if you bump a bumper, they just want to replace the whole.
Yep. Carbon fiber loses all of its resilience when you hit impact. It's unlike steel where it'll bend and the memory will flip it back to where it belongs. Carbon fiber disintegrates, which is why you get that strong energy, and is why it's safe, is because it disintegrates that energy, but it disintegrates. So you have to replace modules. Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, electronic control, traction control is common on all premium cars now.
Yep.
Will the new M3 and 4 allow you to effectively turn it off? Or?
That's what I understand. Yep. That would be a shame if they didn't. But from what we understand, it's defeatable. Without having to do about 10 different things. You just keep holding that button, you should be okay.
When will the electric i3 and i8 be arriving?
We haven't received our what they call our HEA cars, our demos yet into. When we do, I think it's going to be the first quarter of next year. First quarter of next year is a huge run-up for BMW, and then I think i8 is supposed to arrive following that. But the i3 will be first in line. First quarter next year is what we understand. It's going to be an urban car. There's no question. It's really meant to... There's been a paradigm shift in how buyers buy cars. A car like a Tesla now, which has been at some of the Cars and Coffee, it's a shift in things. Why are cars like Priuses, which serve a certain purpose, doing so well? There are people who don't care about cars the same way we all do. Good, bad, or indifferent. And here's what we're seeing. And even if you look in the faces in here, there's a break in the market. So a lot of you guys and gals have developed relationships with BMW, Audi, Mercedes, whatever it may be, and you've developed relationships with certain stores, which is great. It's what you develop relationships with certain stores. That's great. It's what's supposed to happen. The kids, and I'm saying the 22 to 30 something, they don't care about any of that stuff. They want to buy their car online. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to call you. And I'm dead serious about this. 97% of people do the research online. 2/3 of them never call or come in before they make the decision to buy that next car. They don't even drive it. I deal with it every day. That paradigm shift has happened, and that's where these cars are going. They can go online, spec it out. They know they only have to plug it in, and that's it. Teslas are bought online. The new i3 is going to be bought online. It's a crazy thing where things are going with us.
Well, it seems like it presents very significant challenge for a company that has built its brand on being the ultimate driving machine, the experience of driving rather than the specifications
Yep.
of the machine.
It's why the I brand is a sub-brand. Its focus is going to be on sustainability, all these buzzwords, sustainability. This is going to be for a different type of buyer. This is going to be, don't get me wrong, this is going to be a luxury item. This is going to be bought by some of us who want to be the coolest guy on the block, who have the newest thing. But it's also going to be bought by these younger people who don't care about the same things. They don't care about the tires on the car. They don't care that it's got a profile this big. It's a very different market. But we have to evolve with that market because that's what's growing. Unfortunately, we don't buy enough cars as a group. And we're the manual transmission drivers. And we want it normally aspirated. We're dying, guys. So we have to address this group of people. Because the guys who all drive the automatic 328s and 528s and all these cars that buy them on their first promotion, they're the guys who fund the fun cars. The guys who buy this i3 are going to fund the cool car like the i8. I hate to be that way, but it's true. It's what we sell. 1% of cars sold in the U.S. now are manual transmissions. It's less than 1%. It's like 0.9.
That's okay as long as they remove it.
That's correct. Yep. As long as BMW, Audi, both Mercedes, these guys remember us, that's what we're looking for. But that's the problem you're running into. It's just a paradigm shift. They don't care about the stuff that we do. And I'm kind of in that middle ground where I grew up with all of it, but I love the old stuff because that's what my grandpa and my dad gave me, was the old stuff, and that's what I grew up with. I see that there's a disconnect there. There's even a disconnect in the Mini brand between the two sides of it. And that's just a funky little brand. But a big brand like BMW, there's a huge disconnect in the two sides of things. And that's why the I brand's going to exist. It's going to address certain things. And that's why some of the technology you're seeing in the new 3s and the 5s and the 7s come as they are. It's not stuff that you and I would want, but it's what these younger generation of buyers demand. They won't even put you on the list because they're buying the car online before you even talk to them. They demand, it's got to have this, and they just start checking boxes. It's a crazy thing, but it's real.
Just a word or two about the Mini side.
Yep.
What may be coming? We have many owners.
Yep.
Just something about
Well,
that.
so Mini also, like the I brand, is a sub-brand of BMW, obviously. There is going to be a shift in the lower end of BMW, mirroring what Mini's doing. So the new platform coming out is called the UKL platform. It's the front drive platform. BMW's investing huge money in this. Just spent $300 million plus in the factory in England for this. There may be possibly, we don't know yet, a 1 Series BMW coming that's front drive. Here's the bad news. Most of the people who bought 1 Series cars, 80% of them, here's a study, 80% of them thought it was front drive. You guys shake your head. You aren't the sheep, guys. You guys aren't the sheep that we deal with. Most people thought it was front-wheel drive. Knowing that that's indeed the case, BMW says, well, there is a package. There is a place for that 1 Series car. So the 2 Series is going to remain a rear-wheel drive performance car. The 1 Series, as it moves forward, is probably going to go into a 2-door, a 3-door, and a 5-door hatch style car, which over in Europe they sell the hell out of. They sell the hell out of Minis, Peugeots, all these cars that we don't ever see. Well, you look at the VWs, the GTIs, the Golfs, the Rabbits, those kind of markets, even Subarus, things like that. Those cars sell very well over here. We just have never been able to tap the market. So again, it's not cars you and I might buy, but if you sell a bunch of those, they get to build M2s and M3s and M4s. So don't think that they're losing you, but they have to find those holes to fill in because as a small company, they're just not able to spread out the cost as much as some of the bigger guys are. We can't share enough to offset that cost. It's the same thing that happens as to why a Lexus and an Acura are cheaper than a BMW. We can't share a motor with a lesser brand. Well, this gives us an opportunity by badging it as a Mini. So the new Mini is going to be on this UKL platform. It's going to be the first all BMW Mini. This is the first time we get to share some cost. So it's getting the 3 Series and 4-cylinder BMW motors are going in the new Mini. And BMW transmissions and BMW electronics. So we're going to be able to share some of the cost on our lower cars like the 1s, 2s, and 3s. Are going to share costs with the Minis. keep mini cost in check, and keep the 3 Series, 1 Series, and 2 Series in check. So that's what you're going to see is some of that sharing. We can actually now leverage that sharing to keep our money costs down.
A few years ago, BMW started a line of performance parts after I guess it's after.
Yeah.
Is that still happening? Will that continue to happen for models moving forward?
You are. You're going to see, so a good example would be the 2 Series car. They're going to have the limited slip, the mechanical limited slip available as an aftermarket fit. You're going to have a tuning kit. You're going to have exhaust. You're going to have aero kits and all that kind of stuff. Right. And then they're going to continue on with the port installed accessories, which will be the same thing. But let's say you decide at that time, you know what, rather than have it come in here and have one of your stores do it, you can actually have it installed at the port of entry, and they can actually do it before it even comes in. So you've got some options there.
Will the limited slip for the 2 be installed at a dealer, or will it be installed at the factory? I heard it's at the dealer.
I've heard both.
I've heard, okay.
I've heard both. I'm okay with either one as long as they offer it.
As long as they offer it.
As long as they offer it.
So what is BMW then seeing as the growth area for them? Is it the iCar? Or, I mean, where's the
3.5, X3, X5. It's the bread and butter stuff, guys. It's the stuff that can sustain the company. The niche cars, anything above a 5 Series is a niche car. Anything with an M attached to it is a niche car. Anything that's 2 doors is a niche car.
I was just curious because, you know, the way you described the market and changing, it seemed to me that really the more expensive cars, maybe the 5s and
Yep.
the X5s are not.
It is going to be, because you got to remember that the average transaction price on a car nowadays for an average car is $32,000 across the board. An average BMW transaction price is near 80.
Average?
Average in this market.
In this area?
In this market, 80.
It's on like 7.
You know, it's not even that though. You can get a 7 Series or a 5 Series now. That's, you know, an M5 is 105, 110, 115. A 5 Series is, you know, a 550 Xi is 72, 75. It doesn't take much to drive it up. You know, a V8 X5 is, you know, can be the same. So that's what's driving it up. Our money's just not what it was. And so when you get your head around this, $32,000 is the average transaction price from a Chevy Sonic to a Mercedes or a BMW. $32,000. So the average Joe on the street has a $700 car payment. That's where you're seeing it. The average price of cars is just way beyond what people kind of imagine, and that's when you see things like a 3 Series now at $50,000. Well, you look back in 2000, that same car was 32, 33, 34.
Well, he
Yeah.
mentioned how much better BMW was than the Taurus.
Yeah.
When you walk into a Ford dealer now, or you walk into a Chevy dealer now, look at a Taurus,
Yeah.
or an Impala, you're looking at a $32,000 to
Yep.
$35,000 car.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, what does BMW think Mercedes just came out that new CLA was for?
Yep.
$30,000.
Yep.
Front wheel drive.
Front-wheel drive.
Front wheel drive. Has anybody been in it yet? Go sit in it. It's
That's what I was thinking.
you know where the things were cut to get the price under $30,000. You sit in it. You'll know. Just sitting in it. That is a growth segment there. That's a premium small car. And as much as it is not a real Mercedes in the sense of being rear drive first, the kids don't know that, and the kids don't care, and the kids are buying more cars than the enthusiasts are. So guess what? They build it, and they will come. And that's where the 1 Series, if they go front drive, is going. It's where the A3 went. Things like that. You have to play in the same markets that your prime competitors do, because the prime competitors have a lot bigger pockets. The VW group is going to be the #1 car brand group here in the near future. That's not necessarily a good thing. You look what happened to Toyota. That's not necessarily a good thing, but it's coming, and they're dumping more and more money into the Audi brand because of that. Well, you need to compete in those marketplaces and be a leader, not a follower, because when you fall behind...
BMW will compete then.
Oh, yeah. And that's where the 1 Series, if they build it and bring it here, it'll be the 1 Series front-wheel drive car. Will compete in that CLA line. The CLA line really slots below even what a 2 Series does. A front-wheel drive car is cheaper to build than a rear-wheel drive car, period. All your work is done by those front wheels. There's no rear transaxle. There's not worry about blending weight to make it handle a certain way. You package everything up front, and you go. That's why front-wheel drive cars are cheaper. There's just no way around it. Engineering-wise, it's compromised. So, and that's why they did it. That's how they can get it under 30 grand. You make that car rear-wheel drive, it's probably 32 or 33 grand. There's a distinct difference in that.
Is it likely that when they do come out with a front-wheel drive car, like Audi, like Mercedes, they're going to offer an all-wheel drive version of it?
Almost without question. Because the tunability of that motor that's going to go with the 3 and 4 cylinders that are in that car, there's potential in that 4-cylinder of 300 plus horsepower. Anything over 200 plus horsepower in a front-wheel drive car, you just get massive torque steering issues. So even my next Minis are potentially going to have a little all-wheel drive, 250, 300 horsepower little coupe. So